The atmosphere in Port Charles is currently thick with unspoken tension, primarily centered around the miraculous and hard-fought recovery of Drew. For weeks, the residents of the city have watched with bated breath as he battled against seemingly insurmountable medical odds. His journey back from the brink of total physical collapse has been nothing short of extraordinary, but the physical healing is only a fraction of the battle. Beneath his recovering exterior lies a man deeply scarred by a profound betrayal, harboring a dark secret that threatens to tear the community apart. Drew's recovery is not merely a medical triumph, it is the opening salvo in a clandestine war against the person responsible for his suffering. The trauma of being intentionally incapacitated has fundamentally changed him, replacing his usual optimistic demeanor with a steely, unyielding resolve to see justice served, no matter the cost or the collateral damage. Because of the severe and mysterious nature of his previous condition, Drew's recovery requires meticulous, ongoing medical supervision. He cannot simply walk out of the hospital and resume his life. He is bound to a rigorous schedule of outpatient therapies, neurological evaluations, and routine checkups. This medical necessity perfectly sets the stage for the reintroduction of Elizabeth Baldwin into his daily life. As one of the most experienced, trusted, and compassionate nurses on staff, Liz is the natural choice to oversee his delicate rehabilitation process. Her professional dedication and her innate ability to make patients feel safe make her the ideal candidate to monitor his vitals and track his neurological progress. Initially, their interactions are strictly confined to the clinical realm. They exchange pleasantries, discuss medication dosages, and navigate the sterile, predictable environment of the examination room. However, the sterile boundaries of the hospital room soon begin to blur as the sheer amount of time they spend together fosters a deep, unexpected intimacy. Drew, who has been carrying the crushing weight of his secret in total isolation, finds himself increasingly drawn to Liz's quiet strength and unwavering empathy. He watches her work, noting the genuine care in her eyes and the gentle precision of her hands, and slowly, the formidable walls he has built around his trauma begin to crack. The late-night checkups and quiet moments between therapy sessions transition from clinical assessments into profound conversations about life, survival, and trust. Liz, in turn, senses that there is a profound darkness lingering just beneath Drew's surface, a shadow that his medical charts simply cannot explain. Her intuition as a seasoned nurse and a deeply empathetic woman tells her that her patient is fighting a battle far more complex than simple physical rehabilitation. The turning point in their dynamic arrives during a particularly vulnerable moment when the burden of silence becomes too immense for Drew to bear. In a quiet, secluded corner of the hospital, away from prying eyes and listening ears, he makes the monumental decision to shatter the illusion of his mysterious illness. With a voice heavy with residual trauma and simmering anger, Drew confesses the horrifying truth to Elizabeth. His paralysis was not the result of a tragic medical anomaly or a random neurological failure. It was a deliberate, calculated act of malice. He reveals that Willow, a woman widely perceived as a paragon of virtue and maternal sweetness, had systematically and secretly administered paralyzing drugs to him. He details the sinister plot, the gradual loss of his motor functions, and the sheer terror of being trapped inside his own failing body while his tormentor smiled at him. To say that Elizabeth is entirely stunned by this revelation would be a massive understatement. The confession hits her with the force of a physical blow, completely upending her understanding of the people she works alongside every day. Willow is not just a face in the crowd. She is a colleague, a mother, and someone intricately woven into the social fabric of Port Charles. The cognitive dissonance Liz experiences is profound and deeply unsettling. How could a woman who presents herself with such gentle innocence be capable of orchestrating such a monstrous, cold-blooded crime? As a medical professional who has dedicated her entire life to healing and saving lives, the very concept of someone using pharmaceutical drugs as a weapon of torture is utterly abhorrent to Liz. Her initial reaction is a chaotic mix of disbelief, horror, and a desperate desire for the story to be a misunderstanding. Yet, as she looks into Drew's eyes and sees the raw, unadulterated truth of his trauma, Liz makes a decision that will alter the course of both their lives forever. Instead of reacting with the standard protocol of immediately contacting the authorities or hospital administration, she chooses to stand by Drew. She realizes that going to the Port Charles Police Department without concrete, irrefutable evidence would be a catastrophic mistake. Willow has already proven herself to be a master of deception, and a premature accusation would only give her the opportunity to destroy whatever evidence remains and paint Drew as a paranoid, delusional patient suffering from the after effects of his illness. Understanding the extreme delicacy of the situation, Liz makes a silent vow to become Drew's secret ally, crossing the line from dedicated nurse to active co-conspirator in the pursuit of justice. This shared secret immediately binds them together, forging an unbreakable alliance built on mutual trust and a shared sense of righteous indignation. They begin to orchestrate a highly covert investigation right under the noses of the hospital administration and the very woman they are trying to take down. Liz utilizes her extensive knowledge of the hospital's internal systems, her high-level security clearances, and her veteran status to access restricted medical records, pharmacy inventory logs, and archival blood samples. They meet in the shadows, communicating through coded messages and stolen glances in the busy corridors. The sheer adrenaline of their clandestine operations, combined with the profound emotional reliance they have placed on one another, acts as a powerful catalyst for their relationship. What began as a professional duty rapidly evolves into a deep, undeniable romantic connection. The blossoming romance between Drew and Liz, however, does not exist in a vacuum, and it threatens to complicate an already incredibly tangled web of romantic entanglements in Liz's life. Before Drew's miraculous recovery and their subsequent partnership, Liz was already navigating the turbulent waters of her complicated history with two very formidable men, Rick Lansing and Dante Falconeri. Rick, with his manipulative charm and deep-rooted, obsessive love for Liz, is always lurking on the periphery of her life, waiting for the perfect moment to sweep her off her feet. Dante, on the other hand, represents stability, honor, and a different kind of protective affection. The sudden, intense insertion of Drew into this dynamic transforms a complicated triangle into an explosive love quadrangle. The presence of Rick and Dante adds an agonizing layer of tension to Liz and Drew's secret mission. Rick, who is notoriously perceptive and perpetually jealous, is bound to notice the subtle shifts in Liz's behavior. He will undoubtedly pick up on the extra shifts she is working, the distracted look in her eyes, and the disproportionate amount of time she is spending with a single patient. His suspicious nature could lead him to investigate her activities, threatening to expose their operation before they are ready. Meanwhile, Dante's position as a seasoned detective poses an even greater threat. His professional instincts are finely tuned to detect deception, and hiding a major, ongoing criminal conspiracy from a man who cares for her and possesses the power of the badge is a monumental risk. If Dante senses that Liz is involved in something dangerous, his protective instincts could inadvertently sabotage their entire plan to bring Willow to justice. To mitigate these overwhelming risks, Drew and Liz are forced to become masters of illusion, meticulously maintaining the facade of a standard patient-nurse relationship. They must suppress their growing affection, hiding their lingering touches and intimate conversations behind the sterile mask of professional courtesy. The psychological toll of this constant deception is immense. They must walk the halls of the hospital, exchanging pleasantries with Willow, smiling at the woman who tried to destroy Drew's life, all while secretly plotting her absolute downfall. This high-stakes cat-and-mouse game requires nerves of steel. Every time Willow approaches the nurse's station, every time she asks about Drew's recovery with feigned concern, Liz must bite her tongue and play the role of the oblivious caregiver, knowing that one wrong word or misplaced glare could tip off their dangerous adversary. Despite the immense pressure and the constant threat of discovery, their covert investigation begins to yield substantial, damning results. Liz's medical expertise proves to be the ultimate weapon in their arsenal. She meticulously pieces together a chronological timeline that correlates Willow's shifts and access to the pharmacy with the exact moments Drew's mysterious symptoms spiked. She discovers subtle, previously overlooked chemical traces in Drew's older blood samples, anomalies that perfectly match the profile of the neurotoxins Willow used. Furthermore, Liz uncovers discrepancies in the hospital's secure drug disposal logs, proving that the paralyzing agents were signed out but never properly accounted for. She compiles a flawless, scientifically sound dossier of evidence that transforms Drew's horrific personal testimony from a mere accusation into an undeniable, medically corroborated fact. When the trap is finally sprung, it is a masterpiece of strategic planning. Liz emerges not just as a supportive partner, but as the star medical witness whose impeccable professional reputation lends absolute credibility to the case. When the authorities are finally brought in, armed with the undeniable proof Liz has gathered, Willow is left completely cornered. The dramatic confrontation is a masterclass in vindication. Willow's carefully constructed facade of sweet maternal innocence crumbles under the weight of the irrefutable medical evidence and Drew's harrowing first-hand testimony. The shockwaves of her arrest reverberate through every corner of Port Charles, destroying her pristine image and leaving the community reeling from the revelation of her monstrous deception. The undeniable proof ensures that Willow has absolutely no avenue for escape, sealing her fate and guaranteeing a long, well-deserved prison sentence. With the immediate danger neutralized and the heavy burden of their secret finally lifted, Drew and Liz are at last free to step out of the shadows. The conclusion of their harrowing journey marks the beginning of a beautiful, unburdened new chapter. They no longer have to hide their profound connection behind closed doors or disguise their love as professional concern. When they finally make their relationship public, it stands as one of the most surprising, hard-earned, and triumphant pairings in the recent history of Port Charles. Their bond, forged in the fires of trauma, danger, and a relentless pursuit of justice, is unbreakable. However, their public debut is not without its casualties. The revelation of their deep, committed romance forces both Rick and Dante to face a harsh and unyielding reality. Elizabeth has made her choice, and she has chosen Drew. For Rick, it is a bitter pill to swallow, a defeat that will likely ignite new schemes and resentments. For Dante, it is a moment of painful acceptance, realizing that the woman he cared for found her ultimate protector and partner in someone else. The fallout from Liz's choice will undoubtedly pave the way for entirely new emotional conflicts, rivalries, and dramatic storylines in the months to come, ensuring that the landscape of Port Charles remains as volatile and captivating as ever.